Good morning from Universal Studios Hollywood. My name is JP and welcome back to another Universal Studios Hollywood construction update. This is my first update since post Horror Nights and it feels so weird to be here in the daytime. It's so weird to not have all the Horror Night decorations up. And I just noticed the park isn't even open yet. It's 9:52. The park opens so late and closes so early today. They open at 10 a.m. and they close at 6 p.m. Okay, so there's this song that plays every morning at Universal and they only play it once, and I can't find this song anywhere on YouTube. I tried Shazamming it, it's not on Shazam, and I just I don't know, so I kind of need your help. Here's what the song sounds like. Please let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so it looks like they're doing a media event over here from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thanks Universal for the no invite. I'm assuming they're gonna be doing like a test for all the Wicked themed food. We did something similar for the Power Up Cafe in February when they first opened the Power Up Cafe, and then they did something for Toothsome Chocolate Emporium. This was probably like sometime in the summer of last year. Right, moving on. No fire towers anymore. This is like so sad to see no fire towers here at the park. Now, I won't lie, this is not my first time being back at the park since Horror Nights. I was here last night and one other day, and I was here for like the last hour of the park being open. Yesterday they closed the park at 10, so I was here for like maybe 30-40 minutes around like 9 o'clock. I feel like Universal should stay open till 10 p.m. every day. It's kind of tough because it's hard to project how many people are going to be in the park that late. But there's a lot of locals, and a lot of locals that come after work. And I noticed that a lot on Monday. It wasn't that busy. In the daytime, it got a little bit busier around 5 o'clock, and past 5 o'clock, it got busier and busier. So, I don't know, I think that's a good indication that the park should stay open for longer hours. Obviously, there's so many other factors to consider while keeping a theme park open that late, with like budget hours and like workers. Maybe they can cut down on how many restaurants they have open to counter that. But here's what Monstrous is looking like. They're taking it down. The tree was standing last night. Now no more tree, and bits and pieces of the facade are coming down. Definitely a sad sight to see. We had a really great season with Monstrous this year. I think this was my favorite iteration of Monstrous that we've had so far, between Orlando's 2024 version and the 2023 version we had last year. I don't know, there's just something so iconic of having Muerte's narration through the entire haunted house, and then starting off the house with a great monologue like bones, 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 see. That was great. Just walking around the park right now, I noticed that the French Street Bistro isn't open. It opens at 11 a.m. Park opened at 10, but that makes no sense. Like, this is like the perfect place to be to get your nice cup of coffee in the morning, but it's closed right now. And another thing I noticed, the crepes in here, they used to be $5.99, and I'm making a big deal about this because they have to go back down. Like, these are like the tiniest crepes in the world. They used to be $5.99, fair price, okay? Fair price. They're now $8.99. $8.99 is ridiculous. Who's paying $8.99 for two tiny crepes? They're literally this small. This entire area feels so empty without all the Horror Night decorations. And I just noticed this. Little by little, they're starting to add Christmas decor. This wasn't here yesterday. On these mopeds, they added 2 little reefs with some gifts in the basket. 90% sure that Monstrous is all gone now. Maybe they tore down most of the maze because I'm not seeing any of the walls except one part, the entrance to El Cucui's lair. But outside of that, I don't see any walls. Super Silly Funland is still closed right now. I don't know if they've given it a fresh coat of paint. Yeah, I don't think we've seen scaffolding go up there, and I'm still seeing some water damage around the mouth, so maybe they haven't repainted that. Oh yeah, definitely haven't repainted this main section over here, so they still have a lot of work to do. There's so many projects going on right now at Universal, it's just insane. but they just switched up to all, the vinyl on Minion Cafe. You can see that they have all the Christmas decor up. They have Christmas lights around it. They have Christmas vinyl set up. I wish they offered Christmas themed food. They should start doing that here at Universal a little more often. But we do have this nice little Christmas tree here. All the garlands and bows have gone up down this street. Looks like they're slowly adding the Christmas decorations on the Secret Life of Pets area. Yeah, okay, back to Super Silly Funland. You can see that they still have scaffolding on that backdrop. They're still working on repainting it. I don't think that's gonna take them very long, maybe like another 2 or 3 weeks. And I think we'll see this reopen in maybe late December. I'm not in this video too much because I'm having a bit of a crazy hair day. Just this wind is insane today. I have to get a haircut. You can probably get a glimpse of my hair right now. It's just nuts. But here's a quick look at Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. It looks like they're starting to close up on the main show building, or whatever this will be. I think that'll be the mechanic bay, this back half here. So they'll have the maintenance bay there, and then the main station towards the front half. But they're starting to close it up now. You can see, well, you actually can't see anything. You can't see anything past these walls because it's covering the inside. This is nice. You could see some of the windowsills taking shape. I don't know if you could see that too much on camera, but definitely in person you can see those windowsills taking shape through the walls. Wow, it smells like Panda Express out here. This is such a random comment, but it smells like Panda Express from the lower lot. Lots of supports have gone up as well towards this bottom half. I think we're seeing 2 or 3 new supports here. And I think they're installing 16 new supports by the end of this month. So we're gonna see a lot of progress on this coaster. Still no pieces of track outside of what's already been connected over there. That's known as our Hollywood roll, and we have a crazy element on that other side. I'll give you a closer look later on in this video, but here's a look at that bottom half of the project. There's the new supports we have. Looks like they're pouring in more coaster footers over there to the left side. Try to zoom onto that. Yeah, that looks like another launch right here. That's definitely another launch. Yeah, okay, so there's a few sections that will definitely have launches. Oh my god, I didn't mean to flip that. Wow, okay, well, so there's the hair reveal. So we're definitely gonna have a launch towards that bottom half where we see them filling in the coaster footers. And then we're definitely gonna have a launch right over here. We just have straight pieces of track. It's not typical to have on a roller coaster unless there's a launch. It's definitely a launch right there. So there's, what, 3 launches that we know of so far on this roller coaster? This roller coaster is huge. It looks a lot smaller through the camera, but if you come in person and you stand right here, it extends from one side of the upper lot to, this is even past the upper lot, all the way to the back side, past Frankenstein parking, which we're above right now. Look at that. It goes all the way back there. This is a massive project. I can't wait to see what else they do with it. Also, this past week I finally got to have food at the Moulin Rouge, and I did the RIP tour for Halloween Horror Nights. If you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it. That was such a fun video, especially driving through the backlot at night. It's so creepy, but I highly recommend watching that video. It's so fun. You can kind of see Whoville taking shape here. Look at that. Looks about the same as always. I wonder if they'll have anything new for Grinchmas. I feel like they hardly do anything for the Christmas season here at Universal outside of the tree lighting and the same show in Hogsmeade. I think we've had that same show for the past, I don't know, I think 7 years now? Yeah, I think 7 years. We'll see if they add any new Christmas entertainment. I really hope so. It looks like we're getting more and more decorations every single year. We never really had decorations like this around the Cocina, but now we do. Look at that. I really like that Latin touch they have to it with the flowers. Also, last year they had this incredible desserts for Christmas at Cocina. They had this thing called the churro sandwich, and it wasn't very popular, but it was churros on the top and bottom, and they were rolled like a circle. And inside those two churros, it was a sandwich because they put ice cream in between, and that was like the best dessert ever. It tasted so good. Also, look at the size of this project. Holy cow. Every time I come here, it's just like, damn, something new. But this is huge. This is huge. This is heavy, doc. I have no idea what the theming is going to be for this coaster. Considering it's Fast and Furious, they're probably just going to do a garage. But that's fine. That's fine. At least we're getting a roller coaster here at Universal, and I'm chill with that. As long as we get ride audio, that'd be nice. But they just peeled off all of the scarecrow theming they had for the Crow's Scare Zone. It's not looking too good here. I think the best part about getting to Universal right at opening is hardly anyone walking around. I mean, it's slightly busier now that Nintendo World is open. There's a lot more people in the park than a normal, like, non-peak day. But outside of that, it's still pretty dead here. Okay, so I just noticed something new over here. There's a switch track up there right before the launch. I don't know what that could be for. Maybe that's to bring in some new carts from the load bay or the mech bay. But also they have this weird like metal piece on top of the launch. It looks like they've almost already installed all of the electrical needed for the launch. But they have this weird piece sitting on top of it, and I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe it's to protect the launch mechanism from getting damaged or weather damaged while they're constructing. I'm gonna head to the lower lot now. We don't usually do that too often in our daytime park updates, but I feel like there's a few things to show downstairs, and one thing I really want to talk about. So look at this. This entire piece of track is basically done here. They have it fully installed. It wraps around, it goes down, banks a little bit, but now we have this, what people are calling it, the Hollywood roll. It's a very underwhelming roll, or it seems underwhelming until you look at the elements leading up to this. So this Hollywood roll, it goes from the bottom, it flips over like that, and it goes to the end of the ride. But what people don't know is the insane factor of this Hollywood roll is if you look above and around, the track is going to go from the top, invert into the bottom, underneath the escalator, down from the bottom here, into a roll, and then to the end. That's a crazy element to have a part of a roller coaster. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a theme park do anything like that. So this is gonna be nuts. This is gonna be really cool. But we also have some new supports over here. This was just recently added. They added or installed this part, I think earlier this week, and then they just recently added this bottom part leading up. You can tell it's new because they still have some strings and tape on it that'll obviously be removed later on, but yeah, they have some new supports here, and that support will probably help the track go over and underneath the escalator. Just a crazy element. This is just all so crazy. You can see that there's some rebar down here as well, and probably just for more foundation, stuff like that. I also noticed there's one piece of the special effects building that's still intact, and if I remember, I might show you later on, but I think it's to the other side of the ice cream area. There was some construction workers there, so I didn't really show it, but there's a little bit of the building that's still intact on the other side. Since Horror Nights, they actually updated the escalator loop just a little bit. They added one new song from the Wicked movie. They added Defying Gravity. I feel like they should bring back the original Starway loop with like Eminem and music from the movies. Technically, they are playing music from movies, but it's just not like that great. I'm kind of tired of all like the I was gonna call it Pixar, but the Illumination songs. Yeah, we have some more coaster track here. This was installed maybe 2 weeks ago. We have this building right here, this extension, and I believe this will be a queue. I heard someone say it's going to be a launch tunnel, so the track will launch from one side to the other, but I don't think that's possible because they're already going vertical over here with some structural steel. So I don't think that's possible, and it's actually starting to look like a queue underneath. Like I could imagine some television screens in the queue here, and they have a bridge that starts from one side and goes to the other. So yeah, this is most definitely a queue. And it looks like, I think maybe the truck goes over, but there's a support directly under that bridge. This retaining wall, what we thought was a retaining wall originally, this is actually foundation for that queue building, if you really pay attention. So that's cool. Here's a nice look at that back half of the project. This really gives you a feel of how far back the project extends. This is insane. This is where we're standing right here. This isn't the widest lens, but yeah, this is such a crazy stretch for a roller coaster. This roller coaster won't be too long though. I think it'll be like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes max. But it'll still be a very intense roller coaster with a lot of re-rideability, since the roller coaster spins around and it has so many unique elements to it. None that I could do personally. I'm terrified of roller coasters, but this is gonna be interesting. I know this is like really ironic for me to say, but I really miss Horror Nights, and I know I talk so down onto the events, but this is all like constructive criticism. And it's me speaking as a fan, because I've been attending the event since 2011, and there's just so much of a change that I've seen since those initial years of me attending the event. But that doesn't take away from the amount of hard work they put into constructing these mazes. I know budget-wise, they don't have an unlimited budget, so they're not able to do as good of a job as they were able to before. But it still scares me from time to time, especially Dead Exposure. I think this is one of the only mazes that actually scared me. Same with Texas. I think that they got me from time to time. Just depended on whether or not the actor was using their trigger. I just heard a new audio cue. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, they're playing Defying Gravity from Wicked, sorry. So I like when actors kind of go in and out from using their triggers. Sometimes they don't use it, sometimes they do, and I love when they don't use it, because it gives them a little more creative ability to do whatever they want. I know show quality doesn't really like that at Horror Nights, but it still scares me, and I think it's a little more effective to mix up the scares rather than having all the scares be the same at Horror Nights. I think that's what Knott's does right. They still have triggers here and there, but they also have scare actors jumping out of nowhere or stomping their feet. I saw that a lot in The Weeknd. Weeknd didn't scare me that much, but the actors tried their best. And also Horror Nights gave me a lot to do at night, because I live in Burbank, I live around this area, and there's not a whole lot to do at night. So I really appreciate Horror Nights staying open as late as it does. It gives me something to do at night. It keeps me occupied. It gives me something to eat at night when I'm bored or hang out with friends. So I really appreciate Horror Nights in that factor. Even though the event isn't as great as it used to be, though scare actors still do an incredible job, even working around what the creative limitations are. There's some excavating work going on this bottom half here. Very cool. Okay, so I caught this at the corner of my eye, but there's two people standing here, and it looks like they're doing a geo survey. Not exactly sure why, but I think it has to do with the retaining walls on the bottom half closer to the mummy ride. I'll show you what I mean. These are the retaining walls I'm talking about, and I believe these were installed either last year or 2022. I just can't remember. But they installed these retaining walls to keep the mountain from sliding off. And I think they're expanding on those retaining walls. I think they're either going to build them up or maybe lay it out further on. I'm not exactly sure, but they have moved the accessibility ramp and the accessibility car, so now you drop off behind Jurassic rather than underneath the escalator here. Also, I noticed these sandbags, and I don't know what these are called, but like the rolls they roll out during flooding, they're very prepared here, so maybe it's gonna rain soon or they're getting ready for rain. Also, a lot of stakes here. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do, but it looks like they're going to be increasing the height of this retaining wall to better support the mountain. They also have construction walls through the entire queue of the mummy ride, and we all thought this would be for a mummy refurbishment or mummy closure, which I also have a lot to talk about. But it seems like, yeah, it'll only be for supporting this mountain. Obviously, with having a roller coaster literally right above it, there's a lot of vibrations, and that could cause mudslides if it rains, and all sorts of things rolling down the hill. So I don't know if this is in relation to that, but it's possible. Other rumors point towards the studio tour being relocated to the lower lot. I don't think that's gonna happen for a while. I give it like 2 or 3 years. Also, to speak over the Mummy ride. So this ride was supposed to close today. This was supposed to be closed from today and on for an extended refurbishment to keep most of the effects intact and a bunch of other things that are kind of falling apart on the ride. I mean, something as little as a patch over there wasn't painted in the right color of paint. So little things like that I pay attention to, and I feel like it desperately needs a refurbishment. The audio is off, the lighting kind of sucks, the animatronics don't really work, and yeah, I mean, the ride's kind of struggling. It's been around for 21 years now, or it's coming up on 21 years. And in order to keep this ride a permanent attraction at Universal, they need to maintain the ride, and they haven't been doing that. So I called Universal. First, I called them asking about Jurassic World and when it'll be reopening. I told them that I have family that's coming, and I wanted to get them on the ride, and I just wanted to plan out my trip. And they said Jurassic will be closed till late November. But I also asked if any other rides would be closed, and they said the Mummy ride will be closed for refurbishment beginning next week, and that never happened. So it's possible they canceled the refurbishment, and maybe they're letting this ride die out. Maybe this ride is getting old, and they're like, yeah, maybe it's time for a change. It'll run its course, they'll run it down to the ground until maybe 2026 when that new roller coaster opens upstairs. They'll replace this roller coaster with something new. I think that's very possible. Or it's possible that they want to keep this ride for a while because it's a fan favorite. It's a fan favorite because it's the only thrilling roller coaster in the park, let's be real here. Or maybe they want to keep this ride for a while and give it an extensive refurbishment, bring back effects, or maybe even bring in new effects. This ride was due for a refurbishment for a while. It's been due for a refurbishment. And I think in 2020, this was just a rumor, but someone told me that they were thinking of changing the entire ride to some of the newer Mummy films. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true that source is. Apparently that was supposed to happen. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt they would give this ride an overhaul, a complete overhaul. But we'll find out in a year. If they don't refurbish this ride within the next year, it looks like they're just going to run this ride down to the ground until it's hanging on its last thread and get rid of it when they have a chance. It's not looking too good for this ride if they don't give it a refurbishment. And right across the street, we have Jurassic World the ride that is still closed. And I think maybe that's why they postponed the Mummy refurbishment. There's like no rides down here. You have Transformers and the Mummy, and no thrilling roller coasters inside of this theme park. So maybe they're waiting for Jurassic to reopen and maybe for the peak season to pass before closing another thrill ride. But they're giving Jurassic a nice refurbishment right now, repainting all of the rocks here. I hope they're repainting the rocks in Herbivore Valley. They also need to give Herbivore Valley a bunch of new trees. It looks so gross. Like the area just doesn't feel fresh. You go into Herbivore Valley and you're like, it looks old. So hopefully they're repainting that area. They're definitely repainting this area. We see this lighter red color added to this rock here, and you can see that certain things are covered up. They covered up some of the trash bins, the raptor encounter sign. It looks like they are repainting those rocks as we speak. Especially this rock here. This is definitely proof that they did repaint those rocks. This was heavily affected by water damage. This is now looking like a fresh rock. It looks nice and orange, and it looks like they're repainting the rocks on this mountain as well. And I hope they fix the waterfall because it hasn't been working since probably last June. It looks like they were probably testing the ride last night because I'm still seeing some like water. There was no water yesterday when I was here, but we're seeing some water drying up. They also have planks above the trim brake at the very end of the drop. That's supposed to hold you and push you, but depending on how heavy the boat is, it'll just roll over the trim brakes and it'll only slow down the boat. But if it's a lighter boat, it'll stop the boat and then continue on its course. Also, this guy's on his phone here, and I really hope that he's making a call to bring back those water pumps. We need those water pumps up and running again for the summer. That would be so nice to have those water pumps, because you don't really get wet on this ride. If you sit in the back, you don't get wet. If you sit in the middle, you don't get wet. If you're in like the first or second row, you get wet, but for the rest of the carts, it's questionable. Raptor Encounter reopened with a different type of queue. They're just running straight down the construction wall, and it looks like Blue is meeting from a distance still. Blue used to get really up close and personal with you pre-COVID, and then after COVID, they screwed it over. But this ride definitely needed a refurbishment. The Mosasaurus tank was hardly working. The doors would hardly ever open. The screens would always go black. I ride this ride enough to see that. And a lot of different effects on this ride were kind of broken. The Indominus neck was ripping apart. Blue was still missing its tail. Some of the spitters were not spitting, or they weren't moving, or at one point they were missing both of them. This Christmas tree was just added overnight. It's the same Christmas tree they have every single year, but slowly rolling out Christmas decorations down to the lower lots. There was like hardly any decorations down here last night. Now they have a ton, and we're seeing some Christmas lights go up around the Mummy and the surrounding area. Looks like some of these areas are barricaded off. I think they're going to be repainting these rocks probably overnight. They have barricades set up now around these rocks. I mean, yeah, it's kind of starting to look aged. I didn't know that they have electrical outlets inside of the rock. That's crazy. Embrace it, because you don't get to see this very often. Definitely a chill day. Mummy ride is at 5 minutes. Transformers also at a 5-minute wait. This year they're finally adding decorations to Super Nintendo World for Christmas time, so that's nice. They haven't added anything quite yet here, but I'm sure they'll add some decorations in the next like week or two. Christmas starts at Universal, I think the 27th this year. You can fix me on that date. I know in Orlando it starts on the 22nd. In Hollywood, I just haven't really seen much promotion for Christmas time here, so I'm not really too sure about the date. Yeah, it doesn't look like they've decorated quite yet over here in the Mushroom Kingdom. So you can see there's still bits and pieces of special effects. Like this held up one of the awnings that went over the queue. And then if you look towards the back half, you could kind of see a little bit of the building right there. So that's so awesome. Let's see if I can get a closer look at that. Just a little bit of the building. It's not like the biggest piece, but a little bit of it is still there. And that wraps up today's JP Land video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm always so happy to give you guys valuable information on what's going on inside of the theme park. My name is JP, and how they say in the movies, that's a wrap. I'll see you guys in the next one.